friend, welcome back to my channel. I don't know about you, but this time of year, I always feel an urge to like clean and declutter and reorganize. I guess that whole like spring cleaning thing is really real when you become an adult. But I was recently going through a makeup collection and I just decided it was time for me to really take myself to task and look at what I had and make some decisions. And once I got into that mode, I made a lot of decisions. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you a combination of both products I regret buying and then also kind of just decluttering of things that are a little bit older. I've got a lot of things to talk about, so let's go ahead and dive in. I wanna start with eyeshadow palettes because I feel like I go through waves with eyeshadow where I want to buy all the palettes and I don't want to buy any of the palettes. And sometimes when I'm in that, I want to buy a lot of eyeshadow palettes, I make purchasing decisions that are not always the best for me. And there were a few times where I purchased from brands where I was just on the website making a purchase for the first time and got a bit too excited and in the end just don't like the palette. So for that, I've got two. I've got one from She Glam, which is for Bake's Sake. It is this color story, and I have to say the color story does still excite me. I think it is pretty, I would consider this a relatively like good combo of shades, like easy go-to looks for me, but I find that they just don't blend very well. They don't have the greatest pigmentation. They're just fussy to work with. And I have so many eyeshadow palettes and so many good formulas that I don't want to have to fuss. I don't want to have to like hum and haw and try to work at effort to make things work. So I'm saying goodbye to it. The same can also be said for this Catrice Lavender Breeze. You can definitely see that I've got some similarities between this and She Glam, but this is what it looks like. I feel like this might have come out and was maybe a dupe for an Anastasia Beverly Hills, like an ABH palette. Maybe I'm wrong, but definitely some crossover a little bit here when you look at some of the shimmers. But this just doesn't have good pigmentation, good quality to it. I'm just not a fan of this, so I never reach for it. So it's time to say goodbye to this palette as well. I'm also saying goodbye to this ColourPop palette. This palette's the All Amethyst palette. This was a palette that I was like gaga for when it came out. But the reality is this combination of colors does not organically lead to a lot of looks for me that I can see myself wearing or feeling like these are good go-to things for me. And then the purples in here, like especially these two down here, they're kind of patchy and not easy to work with. So I just found myself never reaching for this palette, which is such a shame because in like looking at it right now, some of these catch my eye and I'm really into it, but they just aren't the greatest ColourPop colors. And so I'm letting my purple phase go. It was a kind of like a clear, I was looking for some purple taupey kind of colors. And this was the third dud that I'm finally letting go of. Then we have three older eyeshadow palettes that I'm finally parting ways with. One is the Disney Designer Collection from ColourPop, the It's a Princess thing. This palette is a bit dismantled. I'll explain. So the shades that you see that have X's, I had already decluttered, and the ones that didn't have X's, I had been keeping around to use as single shadows essentially. And I have used a few of these up completely as single shadows, but the ones that I have left in here, these mattes are too warm for me. I'm not really a warm eyeshadow person and I never reach for these. I did pan for 1 year. I'm actually kind of still panning it low key, a singles palette that I made for myself that I started tracking on the channel and kind of just died off very quickly with, but I still kept using it. And as I used up mattes, I came to this and never pulled something out. So it's time to let this go. I think this was a really fun collection. I like this one a lot, but the actual shades in here, most of them in hindsight weren't a great match for my makeup preferences. I'm also letting go two older jumbo palettes that are in my collection. One is the Lorac Mega Pro 2, which I had considered years ago panning this palette. I had panned the Mega Pro 1, I think it was, the first one that they came out with. And this arguably better aligned with makeup preferences, but I don't know if it's just older and that's why, or if with the evolution of eyeshadow, this no longer holds up, but it just doesn't have great pigmentation. It's just not a great quality palette for me. And again, I loved this when I first got it, and I don't know if this is just that it's so old and that's why it's time to let this one go, or if the quality of eyeshadows has improved so much that this no longer stands up, but she ain't doing it for me, so she's gotta go. And then I'm also letting go of a collaboration palette. It's the Makeup Revolution Emily Edit the Wants palette. I was super excited about this palette coming out, and it's gonna look really similar to my Princess palette in that I got rid of about half of the shades that I just didn't really like, and I left myself with the shades in the top 2 rows that I thought I would use, but I just never reached for this. This is one of those palettes that I was excited for her to have a collaboration. I like her a lot. Emily Noel is a great person to watch, but this palette in hindsight just wasn't a great one for me. And I thought the shadows in here were just so-so. It's the only Revolution palette I think I've ever tried, and it was fine, but nothing that I was super in love with, and it's time for me to part ways with it. While we're here talking about eyes, let's go ahead and talk about these 2 false eyelashes that I've held onto for a long time, but the reality is I don't wear false eyelashes and I'm not going to. So I'm getting rid of these Eyelure London Jordan Woods ones, and then these Barbie ColourPop ones. These both came to me, not of me purchasing, but I think they came in some kind of like box that I was sent or that I purchased. So not using them, gonna let them go. Then I have 3 eyeliners. So the first one that I have is this e.l.f. eyeliner. This is Good Game. I think this was maybe like one of their collaborations, but it's a violet purple gel eyeliner. This is something that I purchased ahead of going to see Lady Gaga in concert because I was like, I'm gonna do this fun, different type of makeup. This just didn't read very well on me, so I didn't end up using it for that, and I've never gone to use it again, so it's time to let this one go. I also picked up this NYX Epic Ink liner. I thought this was the Hella Fine liner. It's very much not. It's this kind of point, which doesn't look that bad in theory, but it is terrible. It has terrible pigmentation. I don't know if this one is just on the older side. It was being clearance out at my CVS, which is why I picked it up, because I was like, oh, it's the Hella Fine liner. It's super cheap. I'll get it. No. Nope, it's not good. It just is not, it's patchy. It's not great. I do not recommend. I will not seek this one out again. And then I have a pencil liner. This is the LA Girl Ultimate Eye Intense Stay Auto Liner in Ultimate Black. So I picked this up because for Lydia's first Halloween, we were little bears. We were the 3 little bears actually, and I use this to draw noses and whiskers. It is not a great quality though, because the actual liner pencil, which does scroll up on its own here, which I like. I do like that it just scrolls up here at the top. It breaks so easily. It's a super soft pencil in there, or whatever you call that, Kajal color, whatever it is. It's very soft. So I don't ever use pencil liners. It's just getting old. I'm just gonna go ahead and let it go. Okay, that's been fun, but let's talk about some more boring tool products that I am getting rid of. So the first one is a newer product. It is the e.l.f. Puff. This thing is so dense and almost memory foam-esque that for how I use it, which is for my under eye powder, it's not as easy breezy. I prefer these like generic ones I bought from Amazon. So major regret on this particular front. Not my favorite, not a fan, won't go for it again. I also have this Wet n Wild. This is an old brush. This was when I was still buying like brush sets, realizing that I don't need to have a whole set of new brushes every time. I just want to get one brush. And this was meant to be a highlighter brush, but it's just way too big and like just splayed out. I'm just not a fan of it. I never reach for it. Time to say goodbye to it. I also have this sponge, which I think I got from maybe ZC, I don't even quite remember, but it's so dense and hard. It's unpleasant to use, and I'm going ahead to part ways with it because I just prefer the e.l.f. Total Face Sponge over this any given day. Let's talk highlighters. So I have 3 that I very much regret buying. I have 2 from e.l.f. They both are from the Halo Glow collection. I have the one called Rose Quartz and the one called Champagne. Wanted to love them. However, I found that these lifted up my foundation and left me with just my skin showing. Not great. And I didn't love the look of these. They were just not my ideal go-to highlighter. So people love these. Don't work for me. Definitely regret. Other highlighter that we're saying goodbye to comes from ColourPop. It's the Love Struck Pressed Powder Highlighter in this very cute heart packaging. First off, I find this super difficult to open, which I don't love, but I purchased this because I really wanted a pink, like soft pink highlighter. This, I thought in theory would be good, but the sheen of it does not look very good on my skin. Like it just has too much of a, I don't know, bubblegummy undertone to it where I think this is more meant to be like maybe a blush topper, but it just doesn't work. I never reach for it, and so it did not accomplish my hopes and dreams, so I say goodbye to it. Oh, I have 2 bronzer contoury type of products. Both come from e.l.f. The first is again from their Halo Glow. I picked up the fair or light shade. Issue with this is I swear this would blend into nothing on my skin, and for me to say a product lacked pigmentation or didn't do anything, very concerning because I'm super pale. So wasn't a fan of this, and I'm definitely regretting buying it. And then I have the e.l.f. Putty Bronzer. This is in the shade Tan Lines. So I find personally the color ranges on e.l.f.'s website difficult to differentiate between. So I find it's hard to find my exact shade. So for this, I purchased 2. I purchased Tan Lines, and I don't remember what the other shade was called, but it's similar vibes. I panned the entire one of the other one up because I just preferred that color over this. This just does not go super well with my undertone. So I wish I could have figured that out by looking at the swatches, but couldn't figure it out until I was in person. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and declutter it because it doesn't work for me, and I'm not gonna go ahead and use it. Let's talk complexion. I have 4 foundations that I am decluttering, most of which are due to just not matching me. So I purchased this Maybelline Fit Me Tinted Moisturizer. This is the shade 118. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. I saw this in person and I very much chose the wrong color. Even lightening it undertone wise, it does not work. So I have to go ahead and say goodbye to it. I also have the CoverGirl Clean Fresh Skin Milk in the shade 510 Porcelain. Not a bad color match for me, but I just don't love this product. I didn't love it when I first applied it, and then I kind of just left it in my drawer for a long time. And now when I shake it, it just seems super thin that I don't even want to try it, and I don't love it to begin with. So I'm just gonna go ahead and part ways. And then I have this Skinfinite Hydrating Foundation from She Glam in the shade, I'm not even sure it says, oh no, it says Porcelain. Not the right match for me at all. And then I also have Honey and Beauty Long Wear Light Foundation. This also, again, lightening these up with the white mix that I have, mixing pigment, doesn't work for undertone. So both of these have got to go. I've got a few lip products. So the first one that I have is from e.l.f. It's the e.l.f. Lip Lacquer in the shade Wild Rose. This one is separating inside. It's it wasn't necessarily my favorite one to use, but it's definitely gone off on me, so it's gotta go. And then I also have this Revlon High Shine Ultra Vinyl Lip Polish in the shade Birthday Suit. This came out with the Wonder Woman collaboration. Also not my favorite one. And I think at this point, it might be just on the older side. It's just too deep for me to naturally gravitate towards and use. And then I have one from ColourPop. It's their Luxe Lip Oil in the shade Hey. This one, I just don't think I particularly like their lip oils. They have a little bit of pigment, but just texturally, I don't think I really like them. So I'm gonna go ahead and part with this one. I also have a ton of concealers that we are letting go of, except for one. They are all going essentially because of color and undertone. The only one that's an exception to that is this one from Erin's Faces. This is their Radiant Firming Concealer. This is in the shade Cottonwood. This was a lovely concealer. Only complaint that I had was I tend to find that I use a lighter concealer in the winter months when I essentially become translucent, as opposed to right now where I'm using the Maybelline under eye concealer that I love using in the spring and summer. And I found between last winter and this winter, this expired on me. It's not surprising because of the type of company, but I even like the stopper out. I was really using this pretty heavily, but it just formulation wise has separated. It smells a little bit funky. So I had to let it go. And when I was looking for a potential replacement to either replace this or I was just gonna go ahead and rebuy it, I discovered all these other concealers that just, I think, are too light and bright for what I'm looking for. So the first one is from ZC. It is, I think, just like a one that they came out with for some kind of collection, but again, much too bright for me. Same thing with the CoverGirl True Blend Under Eye Concealer. This is in the shade Fair. They're just too intense, too stark for what I'm looking for. I also have this one. This is the Wand Me Up Concealer. I think this is from Joa. Undertone wasn't great for me for this one. Same thing here, the NYX Bear With Me Concealer Serum. This was in the shade Fair, and the undertone just does not work. And then lastly, this is one that I feel like I have used multiple ones of before, but preferences have changed. This was the ColourPop No Filter Concealer in the shade Fair as well. And again, just too much for me. So all of these are biting the dust and I'm letting go of them. Oh, one more lip product we didn't talk about. It's this super random one. It's this Revlon Kiss Balm in Juicy Peach. Oh God, this is just like basically nothing. And it has like an okay scent, but texturally, I just don't love it. I'm gonna go ahead and part with it. Totally regret buying it on a whim. I have this under eye powder that I used for a while and then fell off of it, used other things, and now I just think it's way too old. This is the J. Manuel Beauty Filter Finish Collection Light Filter. I have to say the packaging of this, I really liked. It has this like circular indentation where you could put powder into here and you basically had a mechanism to pick up powder onto your brush. It seems bulky when it's like this, but so useful, so thoughtful. I liked it for that. I think I was definitely more of a 1 than I was 2, because this is definitely 2. It's a little bit, you can see a little bit much for me, but I did like it. I also liked the, I think it was a foundation. I've had this for a long time. This brand has not been around for a long time. Like Be Still, My America's Next Top Model Heart. But this was good when I had it, just no longer good, gotta go. Ooh, one that I regret buying. It's the e.l.f. and Dunkin' Donuts collaboration, the Donut Forget Primer. This just broke me out. It did not go well for me. I think that something has happened. I used up an entire putty primer, and then I think there were 2 different collaborations that I purchased the putty primer version from that collaboration as being one of them, and it did not jive with my skin, and now it has me questioning the putty primer altogether. This did not do it for me. I'm just gonna go ahead and get rid of it. Oh, I'm really proud of myself. I'm finally letting go of this product that I have had survived so many declutters. It's the Tarte Waterproof Shadow Stick in Sage. I have always struggled to let this go because as a shadow stick, I feel like I could probably use it up pretty quickly if I just gave it some tries, but I never reach for this product in place of using a powder shadow on my eyes. And I don't wear this color a lot to begin with. It is super old. I'm not going to use it as a base because I'm not going to apply anything on top of this color. So it has no purpose for me at Makeup Preferences. It's got to go. Then I have this, what I thought was going to be a cool product, but is super not cool. It's the Neutrogena Vitamin E Makeup Remover Eraser Stick. When I saw this, I immediately thought to myself, oh wow, this could be a really cool product in place of using my Precision Tip Q-tips that I use to clean up my lower lash line with. This could be like a one and done, all-in-one product. It's not. It's super strange. It's this very precise stick that you use to put onto like makeup, but as you can see here, as I apply it, it doesn't really do much besides spread it around. And then you go to wipe it and it wipes off fine, but it leaves like a residue behind. No, it does not at all serve the purpose I was hoping it would for my under eyes. And then thinking about this as all over my face to break down my makeup, this would take up the entire stick. So I don't really know what the intention is behind the design of this product, but I don't like it. I regret buying it. She's going. First off, I have this ZC Sweet blush. I just don't ever reach for this tone of blush. It's almost like this chalky, corally pink color. Not my vibe. I have no purpose for it, so it's out of here. Then I have from a ColourPop mystery box from their Mulan collaboration, the Matchmaker Pressed Powder Blush. I was actually excited about the idea of this because I was like, oh, this could be like an interesting tone for me. I wouldn't necessarily say I go for it all the time, but maybe it'll be really good for me. Here's my issue. Maybe you'll be able to see it, maybe you won't. There is glitter. All of this like craft glitter up in here. I don't like it in eyeshadow. I don't like it in blush. I don't like that type of glitter being infused. And I did apply it thinking maybe it would maybe tap off and not stick. No, it stuck and I did not like the look of it on my face. So it's out of here. And then I have this Jouer Flirt Blush Duo with Kiss Me and Touch Me. I actually went through a phase where I was using Touch Me quite a bit, but I just don't reach for it anymore. I haven't reached for this in a really long time. I have so many other blushes that I like and prefer over this that it's time to let this one go. So it's been around here, it had a good life, and now it's time to part ways. Whew, all right, there it is. A lot of things that I ended up parting with. Half I would say were regrets, half were just they're too old or don't match up with my particular skin tone, time to let them go. But either way, it feels good to have really gotten a lot of clutter out of makeup collection and now have a lot of products that I'm just very excited about. I so appreciate you being here as always, and I'll talk to you in my next video real soon. Bye.